Hi, everybody, and welcome to the No Matter What Club.
I'm Anthony Arranaga-Grayson.
And I'm Paulo Arranaga-Grayson.
And we are here in the Chicago podcast studio filming this season of the No Matter What Club podcast because
No Matter What Recovery is officially open in Chicago.
We are so excited to be offering the services of No Matter What Recovery here in the Windy City. And to celebrate, we are going to be dedicating an entire podcast season to the recovery community here in Chicago. And that includes
professionals, clinicians, therapists, and some people from the Chicago recovery community will be joining us.
So we can't wait to share all these faces and voices with you on our podcast. And we're looking forward to it. So please stay tuned this season. But coming up next is our treatment team here in Chicago.
Can't wait. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for joining us on the No Matter What Club.
Take a listen.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the first episode of the No Matter What Club for Season 3. I'm so excited that we are joined by our No Matter What Recovery Chicago staff. Well, I'll start to my left and go around the room. So our first is our program director, Thomas Allen.
Hey, Thomas.
Hey.
Hello. Next, we have our national director of Chemsex and LGBTQ programming, the one and only Mell McCracken.
Hey, Mel.
And lastly, my beautiful and handsome husband, Anthony Arranaga-Grayson, the co-founder and chief operations officer of No Matter What Recovery.
Yay.
Yay.
Today, whenever this airs.
Tomorrow.
This hour of the day, we are here.
We are gathered here.
It's all family.
It is.
Is in the club. No, I'm just joking.
In this club, we all fam. The No Matter What club. We're kind of a little kooky because we are in the final phase of getting this baby born.
We have been working for the last several months, day and night, getting everything ready from the design, the interior, to, well, even backing up just a little bit, the
Build out.
renovation, the build out.
Well, it started with us looking at properties, and we were just like, oh, let's just go see. And then by the time we left that trip, we were signing leases.
What did you think of, so on that day back in the summer of 2025, we were looking at a few different places and there were 3. And tell us what you thought of when you saw the location that we eventually got.
It felt like home.
Yeah.
Why was that?
When we walked into the space, the location obviously is just the prime location, I think, for what we wanted. But it was actually the second location of the 3 that we looked at. And I knew when we walked in the doors that we were going to end up going after that location.
I want to back up just a little bit too, because I don't want to put the cart before the horse here. And I absolutely want to talk to the two of you. We want to talk to the two of you. But the reason why I'm kind of asking these questions right now is because I know that you have a special connection. People might be asking, why the heck Chicago? Yeah. So let's back it up even more. So I'm going to play you for just a second here, and we're going to turn the tables here. So back us up. Why even Chicago to begin with? What is it about Chicago that drew you and us here?
So whenever I think of Chicago, I think of home. I lived here. I've lived here twice. I got sober here in 2006, and
that was the first time you got sober.
It was the first time I got sober.
And you were coming from?
I was displaced from New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And
this was 2006?
So this was 2006.
That's okay.
Not 2005.
Hurricane Katrina was in 2005, September 2005. And so I got sober a few months after in 2006. And, I grew up in Chicago, in the rooms of recovery in Chicago.
Yeah.
My story is kind of crazy, but, I was living on the streets. we share all the time that, the reason we have such a huge focus on the trans population, not only is it a huge part of the LGBT community, but a trans woman took me in, and I went off the streets. And, we were hustling and selling drugs and doing sex work. And it was just like, it was a safe haven for me. It wasn't a safe place, but it was not the streets. And so, it was, the trans population is near and dear to my heart because of that reason. But I came to Chicago, I got really, really sick, and I found out I was, diagnosed with HIV. And it was in the hospital that, I had a hose in every hole in my body. I hadn't talked to my family in many years. And Kristen Keglovitz, hi Kristen, she was, I was her very first patient ever as a nurse practitioner.
Wow.
And she ended up becoming the director for Howard Brown Health Center. And I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to say this wrong, but we'll edit it out. I'm pretty sure she's one of the directors at Gilead now.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, she looked at me, and I'll check that before we'll do post-production. So Kristen walked into the hospital room and was like, Paulo, tonight's the night you can live or you can die. And you need to make your choice. I'd gotten a spinal tap because I thought I had meningitis. I was in the ICU. I had PCP pneumonia. My viral load was over 1 million. I had 14 T cells. I might have had 6 teeth in my mouth.
Right.
Hadn't been to the dentist in years. I had a 9th grade education. And she said, I want to send you to this program called Crystal Clear at Howard Brown Health Center. It's an IOP. It's state funded. And I went to organizations like T-Pan here in Chicago. I went to their food pantry every week and got groceries. When I was just transitioning home from the hospital, they had it delivered to my house because it was the winter, so they didn't want me leaving because I was so immune compromised.
Yeah.
Anyway, I started that IOP program. I started going to a 12-step program called Crystal Meth Anonymous here in Chicago. And it was here where people in the rooms saw me and they basically embraced me. And it was the first time that I'd felt community in my, in my life, and community that was based on integrity and love and compassion and empathy. And those people are still in my life and our lives today. So I think of my first sobriety in Chicago very, very fondly. It was where I got my first job. It was where I got my first apartment. I lived with a sober roommate and we did everything together. There was like a group of 5 or 6 of us, and we were at the movies and diners and meetings and just like, living the time of our lives. And, work started taking off and I moved on into a different role in Miami, but that was my first time in Chicago. And then I'd gotten some years sober and then relapsed and ended up moving here in my active addiction. And I was back and forth between Los Angeles and Chicago in my active addiction. And so a lot of those people that I had known in my sobriety were always there when I needed them. But I was running and gunning and playing Russian roulette with my life. And I had to get out of Chicago because it was very dark for me here. And the party scene in Chicago is very alive. I mean, it is a very active scene here. And, as no matter what recovery started growing, Tony and I had always talked about opening a Chicago center. And it was just a time and place thing, I think,
Sounds like you had a calling,
Yeah.
right?
Chicago for me is one of the most vibrant. For me, it's like a huge city with like a small town feel. It's like when you're in the the neighborhood, or we can literally go to coffee and we'll run into friends, or our favorite restaurant down the street. We run into people all the time whenever we're here. It's like it's a very small city and community, and like a large city. And Tony and I came here, I think, for our 1-year anniversary. So we've made memories here. And I think it was just time. But yeah, I love Chicago, and I'm so happy that we're here.
One of the things that I've noticed in this, and I'm sure the two of you have probably noticed this as well, but this has been definitely a labor of love for you, and for a passion project, for lack of a better phrase, and in every great sense of that phrase, and I've seen you committed, so committed to like every little detail and making sure that it's perfect in this process, and assembling the amazing team that we have so that Chicagoans can have the best LGBTQ care here in their own city. Because normally they come to LA sometimes, right?
Well, yeah, and here's some facts, and it is there was a huge LGBT affirming program in Minneapolis, and they've had some changes. So in the Midwest, that includes Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. There are no LGBT resources. I mean, there's Howard Brown Health Center. There's a lot of medical, like HIV care and PrEP and MAT, but there's nothing LGBT specific, and then nothing with the Chemsex curriculum that we offer. So we were seeing an influx of folks coming from Illinois to California, but not everybody's able to like just pack up and go to treatment in another state, and so yeah, it has been a passion project, and I've just been so grateful to go on this journey with you. And I really, like, when we walked out of there tonight to head here, the facility is beautiful. Like it's our love letter to Chicago.
Right. And I was thinking about that, just like some of the art that we have framed, and like how that was such a collection of all of our employees and like their idols and what they look up to. It just really, it struck me when I walked in, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's fan faves. We got Dolly, we got Cher, we got Dorothy, like Bet, like all of it. And to know that our staff in LA also had a hand in laying that out is very, very special.
So I want to take our viewers and listeners down a path here, if you will. Thomas, I'm going to get to you in a second. And for everybody who's watching, you may notice that things look a little bit different here in the studio than from previous seasons. We are at the Chicago Podcast Studio, while we highlight the voices and the faces of Chicago recovery here in this season. So Mel, when you had heard that there was a plan afoot to open a program in Chicago, what did you think? And especially when we had talked to you about a promotion for you after spending about a year as an executive director in Los Angeles. Tell us about that.
Well, my first thought was I ran through all of the clients that I've worked with in the past 10 years and how many of them are from Chicago and how there wasn't treatment for their needs back here in Chicago. So I was thinking about like, oh, discharge planning for this person, like it would be amazing if I would have had this to send them to, but it's kind of, bare bones, right? So like being able to bring LGBTQ care into a vibrant city, as you've described, with a big queer population, it was just kind of like very exciting and also like no brainer, right? Like this is what is needed. And I think every city should have access to something like this, but especially big metropolitan cities where there is a large contingency of the rainbow folks. So
Paula, what's Mel's title?
Oh.
So Mel's title is the National Director of Chemsex and LGBTQ programs.
Right.
That is my title.
So what do you all envision happening with that title? What's going to happen?
Grow. Like being able to provide access, whether that's to, treatment material, like if you're coming into treatment, but moreover, like being able to go out and like educate in different platforms or even at different treatment centers, across our nation, worldwide, actually, right? Like we just had that great opportunity to go to the International Chemsex Conference. But what that means for me is having more availability and more accessibility to life-saving information and being able to be a voice to provide that.
And Paulo, you've obviously been here before, as we just heard. You got sober here. You are recovering, crystal meth addict, as you have publicly said before. Tell us about that need for you here as a former Chicagoan or somebody that spent a lot of time here in Chicago.
Well, I think two things that come to mind. First of all, we know not every patient is going to end up at no matter what recovery.
Right.
And so we've made it our mission to not gatekeep this information. We feel like, yes, we have a really great insight. We have a really great curriculum. And when patients come to no matter what recovery, they get a really great, well-rounded clinical excellence experience. But also, we want to make sure that other programs and facilities and clinicians are getting this information as well. So in our growth, one of the things that we're doing with Mell is we're offering continuing education groups, and we're trying to spread the word about Chemsex, because we want to make sure that when professionals are treating these patients, that they're getting information and access to the intimate knowledge that Mell has with treating chemsex. And I was thinking about that when we were talking about it. But what was your question?
Well, we in our travels here, you had talked to all of us a second ago about how you spent your time here when before us, and then when we got together, we spent time here. And I think that over the course of years, that we've been together, people know what we do, and people had said, "Oh, I wish you'd open a no matter what recovery in Chicago." Do you want to expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, we hear it all the time. People that are sober in this community have always advocated for no matter what recovery to be able to serve clients in Illinois and Chicago. There really is nothing like what we do. And when I say that, there are treatment programs, there are LGBT programs, there are LGBT programs that focus on chemsex. If I talk about like what differentiates no matter what recovery, is we have a core group that we all sit together and we say, what is missing in the field, and how can we expand on this information and get it out to our patients and then to other clinicians?
Yes.
Because, when Tony and I created No Matter What Recovery, we always promised ourselves that we would put patients first. And so if we want to say we thrive on clinical excellence, if we want to say that we are doing amazing work, we really want to make sure that we're saying we practice what we preach. And so creating a space for LGBTQ,
GLP-1.
And creating a space for LGBTQ folks is super important for us, and making sure that they have access to the resources that they need. And that is what was missing here in Chicago.
And I just want to say that, like, it's not just, business and treatment and things like that, but it's so much service, right? Like, want to be active in the community and want to, like you were saying, reach people outside their resources, right? And give people access to information, like our Wednesday night drop-in group, right? Free Wednesday night Chemsex drop-in group. Like, and I love that group. And we have people that join from like Pakistan and India. And I'm like, where do we get this number? But you never know. When you set up a space, you never know the ripple effect of that and how far that reach will go. It's kind of that field of dreams, right? Like, if you build it, people will come. And then as they come, they'll have more access to life-saving information.
It's actually one of the things I love about No Matter What Recovery is the community aspect that we provide, which, I know there's community in a lot of different, treatment programs. So I'm not saying that part is unique for us, but for me, it really does feel like something special because of that Chemsex programming that we do. And what I love a lot of things, what you do for No Matter What Recovery. But one of the things that we started doing in your new role is rolling out like a Mell on tour type thing, which I think is really great because it gets you out to other cities around the country where maybe No Matter What Recovery isn't like really well known, but the topic of Chemsex and you educating people on that is. And so what's that like when you go out to other cities and you kind of share the good word?
The good word. What is it like? It's okay. In my experiences where I step in and I do like workshops, I have been met with nothing but open arms and love, because I find that people are there's a desperation for the language that we have learned to speak around sexualized drug use and chemsex. And people, like, I watch them and they're like, oh, they can take a breath. They're like, that's what I've been trying to name for the past 10 years, right? And I just didn't have a language to describe it. So being able to provide like a different vocabulary or a different type of intelligence around sexualized drug use and chemsex seems to be really meaningful for people, and it gives them really great entry points, especially around sexual recovery. It is the most underserved topic. I mean, even outside of chemsex, like in treatment providers, like nobody's
taboo.
talking about like sex
it's
and
taboo to talk
relationships.
about.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
these are the things that take people out. So I want to be
Dick
a
and dollars.
huge advocate, right? I want to be a huge advocate for giving those things a voice and bringing them to life, because we interact in relationships. We have sex. Like, these are, unless you're an ace, which I love, but these are the days of our lives, so to speak, right? So how can we leave sex and relationships out of treatment in general? And I love being able to go to new communities. Like, I get to go to Florida next month, right? And hopefully Provincetown, and like all of these wonderful places and spaces that, really want to hear, I think, what we have to say.
Paulo and I were watching one of your presentations this past weekend at a spring clearance in Connecticut, which happens every spring for the New York Fellowship. It's really amazing. And Paulo, do you feel this way too? Like, every time I watch Mel do a presentation, I feel like I pick up on something new every single time. So even though I know the information, obviously, because it's what we do, but like, you always give me something new every single time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's kind of like a, every time I watch Wicked, I see something different, you know? So every time Mell McCracken is giving a presentation, the thing that I love is you read the room. And so not one presentation is the same. And I think you cater the presentation based on the audience, which I think is really important. And when you present, you connect with folks and you kind of read and see what people need to hear based on, their interactions with you or the way that their nonverbal cues. And I think that that's really amazing. And every time that you speak, I brought to tears because, I guess I should say I know how lucky we are to have you.
Likewise.
And I remember after your presentation one time you came up to me and Tony and you said, I feel like my two dads were in the audience, and
Right?
I just like lost.
Y'all just like serious, like, it just, that is so important to have people that love and support and cheer you on. And that makes us kind of reach towards our own excellence, right? And I know for me, when that is out there, and I see maybe both of you, like, I don't know, there's a part of me that's like, oh, I want to impress my dad. It's like, and it's very like sweet. I mean, but it's also not like I want to manage their impression. It's almost like a sense of pride, right? That I get to stand up there and also represent our organization, because I really believe in the work that we do. Right. So that's a beautiful thing, right? And that's outside of our professional life. Like, we get to have like personal relationships and cheer each other on, right? So
I do want to say though, if Mel is like watching Wicked, I do want to clarify it's watching the first Wicked, not the second one.
Oh yeah, no,
Really?
we don't like the second Wicked. No,
So
No Good Deed?
sorry,
No,
it was not it. It was
so
not it.
Mel,
not
I
it.
do want to give viewers and our listeners a little snapshot into your background clinically. Can you just kind of share a little bit about
Your letters?
Yeah, your
Give
accolades,
me
your
my letters? Sure.
Yeah, tell us about your experience.
I'm a substance abuse counselor. I'm an associate sex addiction therapist. I'm also a faculty member with the International Institute of Trauma and Addiction Professionals, where I am a rainbow advocate clinical specialist, what does that mean? That means I teach about affirmative, inclusive LGBT care in the mental health and substance use field. So.
And you have you've been doing this for Chemsex education for how many years and how many groups?
So many. I mean, my groups are in the thousands, right? And I love like adding that up, but I would say probably over 5,000 groups, right? And how long have I been doing it? Late 2016.
Okay. So
And so it's about 10 years. And
decade
when
of
did
Mell.
I first start speaking about it? I was actually looking this up. I think it was late 2018 was the first time I ever did a presentation, y'all. And let me tell you about this because it was at a therapist conference and I go in and I'm like, okay, like I think I'm starting to learn something. And I had read Dr. Fawcett's book and really started to incorporate like a lot of material that I learned from like Kathleen Murphy and Dr. Fawcett and kind of combine that. So I'm in there. It's my first presentation ever, right? I'm not a public speaker, but I would say my sobriety has really helped me with that. In walks Dr. Fawcett. And I
Oh my God.
froze. I was like, and so immediately I was like, I need to go say hi. Let me go say hi. And I immediately went and said hello to him. He knew me. And he was one of the sweetest, most encouraging individuals in that room that day. And it's been kind of a little love story from there.
Well, we're going to have Dr. Fawcett, David Fawcett. Dr.
he likes
David
David.
Fawcett.
Yeah.
He likes David. He's going to be a guest on the podcast, and we're going to be sharing that later on the season. So there'll be more of that love story coming up. So you are very experienced in this, and the title seems perfect for you, National Director of Chemsex and LGBTQ Programs.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing I'd rather do in
And
this
we were
world.
going back and forth on the title because, while I know that we talk about Mell and Chemsex and the two are synonymous with each other.
I don't
Chemsex
know how.
recovery.
Like, if you would have told me my name would have been associated with like sex addiction or chemsex, I'd be like, what?
But there really is a much bigger impact because, when we think about competent care and inclusive and the word affirming, for us, that means having people that are on all spectrums of the LGBT community and our director in a director role within our organization. And I think that's really important to me and Tony. And so there's that. But also, I think, Mell, you have been instrumental in making sure that we are, and all of our clinicians are trained, and our staff, and just everybody from the assessment process to discharge and alumni, that everyone is making sure that we are meeting all the needs of every spectrum of the LGBT community. And that also is part of your role, is just making sure that we stay current and because it is an ever changing,
It's ever evolving, right?
ever evolving kind of, making sure that everyone is included and seen and heard. And I really love that you advocate for the community in that way. And so when we were creating your title, we wanted to make sure to include that, because I think that there's a lot more to Mell than just chemsex treatment.
Thank you.
And I know that you contribute a lot more to the organization. So that's why we did that.
Yeah.
And Paulo, just to make sure everyone is clear, who's listening or watching, we don't just provide chemsex healing or recovery from chemsex. Tell us a little bit more about what else we touch on at No Matter What Recovery.
So, we're a co-occurring substance abuse and mental health treatment program. And I think with that comes a lot of different things. Obviously co-occurring anxiety, depression, PTSD, and trauma. But we also work with borderline, or patients diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, neurodifference, autism, bipolar disorder. And so that's kind of like the mental health side. But on the substance use side, we treat all substances. As you get to listen to the podcast through the season, there is a, as far as like the LGBT community and, LGBTQ community, there's a lot of shame around sex. There's a lot of internalized transphobia, homo negativity, and so all of that will propel using. And so in addition to treating substance use disorder, we're also treating the mental health part of it. And then another huge thing that we do is our client-centered care coordination, which is case management. And that is a lot of the executive functioning, life skill building, working with clients from everything from gender linkage to gender affirming care, making sure that they're not getting black market estrogen. We look at No Matter What Recovery, we look at gender affirming care as life-saving care. And so, we make sure that our patients are I'm a huge advocate of in the first week, making sure that our patients are getting STI tested, making sure that if they hadn't been taking any sort of HIV medication or had access to PrEP, we make sure that they get an infectious disease doctor. Or if they hadn't seen their infectious disease doctor, start making appointments. Nobody's going to be able to concentrate on cognitive behavioral therapy in their first week of treatment if they're in mouth pain.
Right.
So we make sure that they get dentist appointments. If they need to go to UCLA Gender Health or Howard Brown Health Center in Chicago, we make sure that they are set up with any sort of care that they need outside of our roof, because we want to treat a whole person.
That's right.
We don't just look at substance use disorder. We don't just look at mental health. Dr. Eric Shigori is our medical director, so we're treating all of the things concurrently, and we look at every patient and we try to figure it out from making sure that all of the life skills stuff is kind of set up so that our patients don't have to stress about that and they can concentrate in groups and in therapy. We obviously do the cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, IFS, which is internal family systems, which is parts work. And we've seen a huge transition in our program and in our patient care with that modality. And then we do some somatic experiencing. So breath work, yoga, meditation, sound bath. We like to treat the mind, body, and spirit. We truly are a co-occurring holistic program. But all of that is here, and two things that exist at the same time, which was really important to us, is the community piece and making sure that our patients are integrating into a community, because we know that the opposite of addiction is connection.
And treatment is a very short period of time. So it's important that people know how to be in relationship with each other. And I think we learn that a lot in like process groups and other group therapy and things like that. I learned how to be in relationship with other people again. And then I can help them with those skills, build a community that's outside of that, right? And that's 50% of it, what you just said, right? Because it's one thing, like, to be in a bubble of therapy, but it's another thing to go out and have a real lived experience in community. And this is existing for the long term. This is existing for the short term.
Can I tell you my stupid analogy?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know y'all have heard this a million times, but when you buy a goldfish and you go to the Wally World or the Walmart or the Piggly Wiggly or
It's Walmart.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm from the South, so we call it Wally World. But when you go to the store and you buy a goldfish, it comes in a Ziploc bag. And then you take that Ziploc bag and you put it in the aquarium so that it can acclimate to the water before you let the fish out. So you let the fish sit in the Ziploc bag in the new aquarium so that the water acclimates, and then you open up the Ziploc bag and you let the little fish swim.
Right.
And I know it's the stupidest analogy, but for me, it's what treatment is.
That's right.
Like, we are a goldfish in a Ziploc bag from Walmart, and we're sitting in our aquarium, and we get this bubble. It is. It's a bubble. And
we interact with the other fish while you're in the bubble.
Totally. And one of the biggest joys that I get out of No Matter What Recovery is when we get to watch goldfish swim that have graduated our program. And that's why we created our alumni program. And the people that have graduated mentor our new clients, and we do meetings and pizza parties and drag race parties and like just all these things. Like, the community aspect is really, really beautiful.
So summer of 2025 winds down. We sign a lease here in Chicago. We have a building. We do the build out, which takes a few months. And then we have the task of who is going to lead the ship?
Right.
Who is going to steer that ship once the design is built out, once the pillows
Who knows
are
our
fluffed?
culture and who knows our
knows us?
care?
Hollow, what were you thinking? What did you do? What did we do? Help.
So
Are you going to cry?
maybe.
Not me. Don't do it. Because
Are you going to cry?
I think one of the things that's really important to us as an organization is promoting from within. I when I talked about like having a staff that represents the community, it's really important to us. And so when we were talking about who we would want to run Chicago, Thomas's name was the name that we chose.
Yeah.
And I would like for Thomas to kind of say, talk a little bit about your history with No Matter What Recovery, but it was a unanimous decision. I remember we called you. Well, you tell the story.
Right. Right before an important test.
So Thomas, you had been with the company for a few years.
Yes. So prior to working at No Matter What, I met you guys because I had a friend that worked with you guys, and how we first met.
So his friend is Gabby, our operations manager or operations director,
manager
at our detox.
Yes, best friend, my person.
Hi, Gabby.
Hi, Gabby.
Hey.
Hey, Gabby. Yeah, I was working for a nonprofit organization called Lakata out in LA, and I was working as a registered SUD counselor, and I was going to school at the time to become certified. And I knew that I needed to, in my recovery, what I've always done with myself is I like to challenge myself. I like to okay, what's next? I try not to stay complacent. And when it came down to No Matter What, it was a whole different ball game for me. And so that was a little bit scary. But for me, I was like, how am I going to grow if I stay stagnant in one certain area? And what I owe a lot to the program, Lakata, too, because it helped me get sober and it helped me become this person that I am today. But I don't feel like the work and the growth really started happening until I came to No Matter What. And you guys gave me the opportunity. There was a case manager's position that was open. And, I've always heard about your program and what you guys offer the community, and I really wanted to be a part of that. And so, yeah, I went for an interview. I met Jack, my first.
Jack Moll, who is
Jack
our executive
Moll,
director
he
at
was
our
very
outpatient Los Angeles.
Yes, he was very much, in that
A
time.
ball buster.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say Jack is just Jack, and I love him for that. There's no way to describe him. Just he's his own entity in some sense for me. But he was such a great mentor for me, and especially not only just in a professional setting, but in my own personal life at that time. He really helped me come into me in regards to work and just looking at certain things that I was questioning within myself and relationships and all aspects of my life at that time. So he holds a soft spot to my heart. I really care for that man, and I really owe a lot to that man, because really at the end of the day, not only did No Matter What really push me to come into this role, I had Jack in my corner too that really pushed me and helped me in so many ways.
So I thank you for mentioning that, because I do want to ask you about that. But first, let's thread the needle a little bit more. So Paulo and myself and Jessica come to you.
Oh, yes. So,
and dangle a little carrot of sorts.
Well, wait, hold on. Before we get there, what was your role after case manager at the
right.
help?
So, yes. So,
Good
again,
job,
yes, I'm we're jumping all over the place. But again, I owe a lot. I do have to say this, it's funny you said it too. It's almost like when you see Paulo and Tony out in the crowd when you're speaking, it's like you want to make them proud. It's almost like you're that's the same feeling I get with Paulo and Tony. And I'm so passionate about this program, and I'm so almost defensive and protective of it too. And especially them, because they've done so much for me in my life and believed in me in so many ways. I'm an addict, first, through and through, and so to be where I'm at today and have people in my corner and push me and believe in me is something I never really had. And you guys gave that to me. You guys gave me this platform to be a program director of an outpatient center, the junkie that I was 5 years ago, to be this man that I am today. And I owe a lot to you guys in this program and what you guys did and the people I surrounded myself with in the No Matter What community. But you guys, I was a case manager, and then the detox residential happened, and you guys then again trusted me and believed in me that I can do this job as a program manager. And I was like, you guys sure? I'm the guy for this,
Nobody
because
else.
there's that doubt in my head that I still have sometimes, am I able to do that? I still sometimes would think of myself as this addict, that I couldn't do this role, but you guys believed in me, which then made me believe in myself, you know? And then, you know, and you guys have supported me in so many ways, like in my recovery too, and in my professional, like there is wreckage of my past that happened with working with you guys, and you guys still stood by me and like was in my corner, and you know, which is great. But like, as I'm going to school and I'm taking the big test to become certified, and I took time off and I'm studying and I'm getting ready for this test, you know, and it's crazy because I didn't even pass it. Haven't even taken the test. Who knows if I'm going to pass it or not? But you guys called me, Jessica, and Tony.
So Jessica's our chief clinical officer, who was also supposed to be here today, but they're stuck. Their flight got delayed. So we were going to squeeze a bunch of them on the couch. But Jessica, me, and Tony called Thomas.
So you guys called me the day prior of me taking my test. And you guys talked about opening up a couple locations, and I was interested in the other location first and foremost, but you guys brought up Chicago, and you guys said, how would you feel about being the program director in Chicago? And I'm like, again, me?
like, talking to me?
Okay. So I'm like, well, let me just have a second. Let me take this test. You know, this is a pretty big thing in my life, you know, and it's crazy because I'm thinking in my head the next day too, I'm like, I'm not going to get this promotion if I don't pass this test. But it's crazy. It was a full circle moment as I take this test, and you know, the lady comes up to me and she goes, you pass. And I like screamed, like, I was like, oh! Like, I like got really emotional. I walked out of that testing center and I like literally got to my knees and like cried, because I was like, okay, my life is about to get full right now. Like my life is about to like really hit. And like, I just did this right now. I passed this test. I might be moving to Chicago. Like all this flood of emotion came through. I thought about just like the journey I've been through in the past 5 years to get to this place where I'm at today was just like a proud moment for me, you know? And it was the first time, like, I think in my whole recovery and in my life, I felt really proud of myself that I worked this hard to get to where I'm at, you know.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because thank you for the kind words that you said about me and Paulo. However, I want to say that this person that's sitting right here across from me, you are the hardest working, most compassionate and caring clinician, manager, director, all the things that you've been with us. Like your kindness and your ability to straddle that line with being able to have a tough conversation with a client that needs to hear something, but also having that kindness and compassion. You know, I see you forming these connections with our clients, right? That you can tell that you mean a lot to them. And I think that carries so much weight in your role, and for someone in your role that does what they do, right? And so that, well, thank you for saying the nice things about me and Paula, but you are the one that got yourself here today.
Thank
You
you.
know, so
Well, it's like
kudos, Mama, on the hard work.
Okay. I know, that's right. I mean, I think what it is for me too is like, I always say, like, somebody told me too, like, somebody being an addict, it's almost like we have a one-up in the game when it comes down to being a counselor. You know what I'm saying? Because we have that ability to have that rapport with the client, to understand like, hey, I get you right now. I am here with you.
And you can see the blind spots coming, right?
And it's almost like you call that bullshit too, because I've dealt with that bullshit myself.
Right.
So I'm like,
I see you.
let's try again, you know? Somebody was supervising a group that I was facilitating, and I remember a client asking, like, why do you do what you do? And it made me think about the certain people that were in my life when I was in treatment that really helped me, you know, like Mark Carrasco, DeMonte, you know, like this gentleman, Fabian, that was the coordinator of the program that I was in, you know, who really pushed me. And that's really what I come into my work as, is like being that person that I can be for those people that really, the people that were the same for me when I first got sober, you know? So that's why I do what I do.
Look at you following in their footsteps, because they're moving up, you know, their careers, and look at you too.
Right. You know, so it's just like, I'm just truly passionate about what I do, and I genuinely care, you know?
So you did a little reconnaissance trip to Chicago after this was mentioned about you being program director here. And so you came here to visit.
Yes.
And tell us about that.
I think
what
it
were you thinking?
was. So we just landed, and I was with Jessica, our clinical chief officer, and it was cold. It was like 20 degrees, and I'm trying to be optimistic with it. And I'm like, okay, we're just at the airport. Let's get in the car. Like, let's get to the
Oh, right.
hotel.
We were already here. Y'all met us here.
Yeah, and Jessica kept on making jokes like, this is what you're getting into. And I was like, do I really want this?
Yeah.
But I think what it was for me, it was the night we had dinner at Ping Pong. And
Wow, ping pong is just, so, babe, tell everybody about your love affair with ping pong. Sorry, we're going to interrupt this
yes.
broadcast right now for a very important non-sponsorship.
Right. For a plug for
yeah,
ping
we'll
pong.
plug.
You are in Lakeview in Chicago and you like Asian Chinese cuisine, go to Ping Pong. It is delicious food, but again, we in the next few episodes you'll hear and meet a few people from the community. But we spent a lot of time at Ping Pong when I got sober, so it's nostalgic. It's great food, and yeah, so go to Ping Pong in Lakeview. Support Chicago.
We're going to do a podcast episode on ping pong.
Right.
Well,
Totally.
I mean,
So we
it was great food, and I'm not saying that. and it's great there.
Those
it was
wasabi fries.
were everything, but there was this moment. I think it was like the second night we were there, and Jessica kept on saying, "So what do you think? What do you think?" And it was this moment. I remember you were like sitting there, you're talking to Howard. And I'm sitting there and I just had this moment of like looking around and seeing the people. And I was like, all right, this is it.
All right.
Let's do this. I am moving to Chicago. And again, this is another thing where it's like, I like to challenge myself, right? I want to push myself. Like I would shoot myself in the foot if I didn't take this opportunity to grow. So
Nobody grows from staying safe,
Yeah.
right? Or comfortable, right? It's like we have to like step through the threshold that's in front of us. Like it's a just say yes moment. Like the door is open, you have the fear, like, oh, and also something inside of you emerges that says, this is the direction. And I think, I don't know about you, but I got that ability to hear that voice back when I became a sober person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It just like lights your heart up. I don't know.
And then there's this like fear that I have, but at the end of the day, like it's me also knowing my worth and knowing what I bring to the table and knowing that I could do this too as well. As much as there's that little bit of fear, it's almost like I have to like pivot the thinking and be like, no, wait, you're a badass bitch.
This is you. Yeah,
You're gonna
that's
handle
right.
this.
Yeah.
You're going to handle this shit and you're going to do it well. And you know what you can bring to the table, And that's where I'm like, I'm just excited for no matter what to come to Chicago. I really do. It's exciting too, because it's like, as we've been talking to other treatment centers too, and building those connections, the amount of people in the treatment community itself who have said, oh my God, Chicago needs this so much.
Yep.
That's exciting.
I've heard.
When I hear that, I'm just like, all right, yes, we're gonna bring it to the table. We're bringing this to Chicago, and that makes me excited for the work that I do too as well, and knowing what I can bring to Chicago too. So it's just like, it's exciting. This is great.
When we've hired some amazing clinicians who you'll meet throughout the season, but when we really wanted someone at the helm that was able to speak no matter what. And to be able to speak to the culture of our organization, and Thomas, I mean, you when we look at our directors, Tony and I aren't able to be everywhere at once, and so we like to make sure that the people that are leading our organization are an extension of us, and lead with a moral compass, and lead with integrity, and lead with passion and purpose. And we see that in you, and obviously in you, and this is just a huge love fest. But I can't wait to see how this turns out. That was what I was gonna say. I can't wait to see no matter what in Chicago, and see the impact that we'll have on the community.
That's the first thing that I think about is like, this is so needed, and it's such a privilege and an honor to get to bring this care to this wonderful city And then the ripple effect. Like, I can't wait to come a year from now or 2 years from now. And like, you know, just going to Spring Clarence and being in Connecticut with the New York folks, like I get that opportunity to see people I worked with 5 years ago living the life of their dreams that they were crying in my office they didn't think they were going to have. So like moments like that, I can't wait to see where it goes.
And what's been cool is the Chicago community has welcomed us. I
Yes.
mean, you know, they're wearing our hats and meetings and, you know, we're getting calls and like people are coming. We're having a huge event that everybody's RSVPing for. And, you know, it's cool. Like just as excited as we are to come to Chicago, I think the Chicago recovery community is so excited to have us.
Yeah, they've really welcomed us with open arms. You know, I genuinely love coming to work every day because I get to work with all of you and I get to learn from you all, and you know, we have fun at the same time.
Yeah, we do.
So, yeah, this is super exciting. I mean, Chicago is a beautiful city. The people here are beautiful. The recovery community here is amazing, and I'm just glad that we, you know, get to help people in a different part of this country that we're missing this in their lives, because I
Yeah.
know it's benefited, you know, me personally in my own recovery, learning from you. And, you know, I mean, I know I'm not here to just learn from you, but like, you know, the things that like I hear you say makes me go, that's what that was in my own addiction, right? And I see all the people that you touch and that you touch and that you touch too. And it's just like, I just like, it's just so amazing to be able to come to work every day for no matter what recovery. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad that we're here.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Me too.
Well,
I took over most of the show.
Yeah, you
your turn
did.
now.
no, it was I'm kind of speechless because I'm sitting here taking all this in and we've been working on this since last summer. And just to know that like we are open and we, you know, it's full circle.
Come
It
see
is.
us.
It's full circle. For those of you listening, we have an amazing season. We have amazing content. We have great guests. We are featuring clinicians from the Chicago area so that we can highlight some different things and different people and different practices. So please stay tuned, like and subscribe, and we can't wait to see you back at the No Matter What Club. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.